why did we need to reboot Modern Warfare? I love it, but why? Why wasn't... Because the first one was set up in a way where it could have been a prequel other than just the year it took place. That was the main thing that made it not a prequel, because I think it took place, was it 2019? Like, in-universe?
I think so,
Whereas the original was, like, in the early 2000s?
Yes.
So, like, obviously that's not a prequel. But I think it could have been if you had just changed that date.
Yes.
I would have preferred maybe, like, some new ideas there, because, like, at least something like Call of Duty Ghosts or Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, they were pushing new ideas still with the campaigns and stuff in the games.
They were trying new things with that. Yeah, that was my point, is that they at least branched out and did something different.
My biggest criticism with Modern Warfare is really more story stuff than anything, because like I have the same criticisms about the gameplay I've had about COD for years. Such a focus on microtransactions, such a focus on the cool stuff you unlock being in the store. You know, such a focus on that kind of stuff, and not as much focus on a complete package at launch, because the original MW2, say what you will about it, yes, there's less items, but like, you getting that autumn camo meant more.
It did. It really did, yeah.
You know, it had more of a weight to it, I guess, because now there's 5 billion things, half of them you don't care about, and, you know, a third out of the rest of them are purchasable. They ruined the progression of Call of Duty's multiplayer and Warzone and all these other things, because they focus so much now on buying everything. There were a lot of expectations on this game for having the title MW2 that maybe are not fair, but there is a legacy there to uphold, as MW2 is one of the most respected and venerated video game shooters of all time. And when you're launching with problems, which it was, especially that first week.
First week was tough.
That does not inspire a lot of confidence. I feel like Call of Duty used to feel special. You know, like when it came out, it was a big deal. Like, oh man, Ghosts. Oh man, Advanced Warfare. And it wasn't just that I was young. It wasn't. It was like a cultural thing. Like, and MW2 and Black Ops pushed it there. Like, for like 3 to 5 years after those games respectively each came out, it was like, dude,
everyone was still playing.
God!
Yeah, I know. Well, like, that's the thing, is like even if you didn't get into MW2, Black Ops did it for you, and like Black Ops got people in. So even if you missed the boat on MW2, following that with Black Ops was insane. And then Black Ops 2, MW3,
yeah,
that was the golden age.
Dude, even if you didn't care, you had friends who did.
And when it came out, like you said, it was like, I'm grinding. Like, people were taking days off work. They were missing school because I'm going to be playing COD all weekend.
And they were just as excited to play through the campaign as the multiplayer.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
I think those days are gone. Like, there's like different fandoms in Call of Duty. There's the multiplayer fandom who's like, I haven't touched a campaign in 5 years.
Yes. I just play online. Yeah.
And they're totally fine with like the whole experience being throwaway, like in terms of like, you'll eventually not have that stuff anymore you paid for. I don't give a shit. It's just an experience. All I play is COD, this, that, and the other thing. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I think that some of those communities have enabled the current state of Call of Duty, because they know, well, we have to make the campaign fans happy, but like, that's not the focus. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we need to make the multiplayer fans happy, but let's say all of a sudden Warzone's making triple the money. Well, all of a sudden there's not as much effort going into multiplayer.
Right.
You know, it's all about where the hype is and where the biggest Call of Duty fandom is. And I feel like, to me, you know, I'd be interested to get your thoughts on this. I feel like Call of Duty used to be much more special. It was looked forward to by people, even if not by maybe a particular person listening. It was looked forward to in general by a lot of people, and people were hyped for the commercials. It was like, oh man, what celebrities are going to be in the COD commercial? Oh,
yes.
Man, what's going on here? The noob versus the vet. Remember that?
That was a great run, yeah.
And like, oh man, I got to go get my Doritos to get my double XP.
And the Mountain Dew.
Yeah, Dude, all that stuff, that hype, those pops, those soda pops with double XP flying off the shelves. Kids getting fatter. Now look, there's some problems, but people were excited.
It was classic.
And people were willing to try everything. Do you remember when people were willing to try new stuff, and Call of Duty was too? Call of Duty was willing to take risks. It would put in something like Extinction.
Yes.
What is it doing?
Infection. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and all those different modes and stuff. And I think Extinction is one of the biggest ones because it's like all of a sudden we're putting an alien mode in the game.
That's
like,
true. That was a great
that's
time.
just weird but really cool, you know. And
Infection was just something that I remember being so unique and different for MW3 on Dome. I loved that. And then you had like the across the maps throwing knives and all the crazy kills and highlights. For me, it was MW2 is where I really got into it. I would watch my buddies play couch co-op on like the original shipment, you know, on MW, the first Modern Warfare. But then MW2 came out, and I think I spent probably I think my playtime was well over 35, 40 days, something like that. And
yeah,
the reason for that is because it was such a community thing where it was a lot more, I mean, it was such a well-rounded game between the Spec Ops. The story mode was incredible. And the multiplayer, obviously this was a different time, but it was totally focused on you leveling up, and there was no, like, if you spend money, you're going to get a better weapon. You're going to get, like, there was none of that.
And
you bought the game, you got better, or you just sucked, and that was it.
And people argue that too, but I disagree with the people who say that's not a thing, because, like, there are different stats on those guns, they have different attachments, and even if you want to argue you could still unlock the attachments, bro, if I'm going out there at level 1 and I buy a gun in the store and it has all these attachments already on it and it works differently, that's a different gameplay experience than me starting at level 1 and grinding.
Right.
To get attachments and to get all this stuff.
Right.
And that's been a problem for a few years now with Call of Duty, ever since it became more of like a store platform, which is where I think really the gameplay experience was hurt, you know?
Yes.
But don't you remember too, even like people were excited and hyped for different modes. Like people would get hyped and talk about, hey, did you see this survival mode they're adding in? It's different than zombies. Now what do people expect every year? Zombies.
And the thing is, zombies is like not even as fun anymore.
It's watered down.
It's very watered down, and it's, I think, significantly less interesting than it used to be. And given like they tried to, I think it was either 3 or 4 where they added in kind of like almost like a story within it, where it was less about like what round can you get to and more to like do these things, and then you unlock certain parts and you can unlock a new gun, you can unlock, you know, like all this stuff, which fine, but like it ended up being kind of convoluted, and not very well orchestrated, I thought, and player friendly. It ended up being just a little bit boring. And
I like the story in Zombies from back then. Where I start to lose it is after Black Ops 4. That's where I just kind of
that's where I think it really, like, 3 was still fun, there was some good stuff there. 4 is where it really was just not that interesting anymore, which is crazy because Zombies was something that you would do, and that was part of the things that made it special. You'd get on and you'd try to get to the highest level of Zombies immediately, and that was like the first thing that you did. So the fact that that's gone is a little bit of a bummer.
Oh yeah, you were excited to get mystery weapons. You know, like when you go to the mystery box.
The box.
Like, what am I going to get?
Thing. Or your perks.
Yeah, these are huge things. And now, you know, I think at a certain point, everything became so focused on making money, which I understand it's a business, but it became so focused on making money in every single little way possible.
Yeah. It
is a little frustrating to think some guy could just come in and buy stuff too, and that's kind of annoying to me as you start to see this culture of, you know, it's a disposable experience. Let's get as much money out of it as we can and move on next year.
And that's what shifted.
It's sports games. It's just sports games, but with a gun. Even as recently as Black Ops 4, dude, that Blackout mode, the Battle Royale Blackout, that was a chance they took way before they took it with Warzone. You know?
Yeah, and Blackout, actually, I had a great time with Blackout.
It was very different.
It was very different. It was ambitious, and it worked. And me and, you know, a lot of friends had a good time with that, but that doesn't mean that it was perfect, but they took a chance with it.
Well, wouldn't you argue a lot of that ambition is gone? I mean,
yes.
You don't even see as much like original storytelling anymore. Like, I mean, look at Modern Warfare 2. As much as it's cool, and I do want to play through the campaign, it says something that you have to go back to those Modern Warfare characters to feel like you're going to bring people back.
Yep.
That does say something, like that you don't want to take chances anymore because maybe people don't connect with the Rourkes of the franchise, or the, you know, the what's the guy's name from Advanced Warfare?
Kevin
Spacey's. You know, maybe there's a little too much.
Kevin Spacey.
A little too much Snapchatting going on. And all of a sudden, you know, but you know, my point is, like, I feel like they don't want to take quite as many risks with new ideas.
Yes.
I think to me, that's where Call of Duty became less special. When all of a sudden it wasn't innovating and doing new, interesting things, it was more just being Call of Duty and making slight changes every year.
Well, and that's it. It almost feels like it became lazy and very like we're just pushing out content to push out content, but also like that's just kind of where the industry as a whole I felt like got lazy, and that's going to be with the big AAA titles. And the thing that you'll notice, and that I have begun to notice especially, is the games that everyone loves and that are still selling well and making a ton of money. Probably the same as these sports games and these like pay to win games as well, but just doing it the right way, I think, is games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Marvel Spider-Man, God of War Ragnarok, Elden Ring. These are just good games that are fun and that take over a culture for the time that they're out. Like, they completely dominate the gaming industry for a while because people love them. And then it's like, all right, I guess I'll settle back into COD, or I guess I'll settle back into NBA, where I'll have to go grind all these things to try to be competent. But when you get taken out of those with the games like God of War Ragnarok, or even the original God of War, these games that kind of just are insane in what they do and insane quality and really well done, it takes over, and I think there's a good reason for that. It's because it's actual quality video games that are ready to go at launch that completely dominate the gaming news cycle for a while, and then it's back to the status quo, and the bummer is this has become the status quo of it's pay to win with sports or COD or all of that stuff. It's very microtransaction heavy, and the status quo wasn't like that before. It wasn't. I feel like
that COD was the status quo when MW2 was coming out, just in terms of trying.
Yes,
like everybody felt like they were trying
because that's the biggest game. Yeah,
even if some people weren't, it felt like they were trying. You had the illusion that they were giving a shit.
100%.
And I think that illusion is kind of gone now.
Yes,
I'm genuinely sure there are people working at, with Activision at their various companies and subsidiary companies who like grew up like us with COD, and they have that passion and they're trying to put that passion in. But at a corporate level, there is a thumb down on them of just make the damn game, put it out, let's make some cash.
And then just make some cheap content that's going to be cheap for us to produce, but it's going to cost people $5 a gun to buy, or $5 a skin to buy. And that's such a, like we've said, it's such a different approach to what it used to be, where it was, I mean, for me, MW2, it was, I bought the game, and then it's like, all right, if you're bad, you have to get good. And if you're good, you're going to earn these skins, and you're going to be able to show it off. You're a 10th prestige, you earn that, you had to do that. And yeah, there were people who just kind of glitched it, whatever, but that was also kind of fun. Like, there was, good parts to it, too, man. Like, it didn't
feel like anyone bought their way there, though, did it?
No, like, it felt like games now feel very processed. And I guess not to get food oriented, but it felt much more organic and natural before. It doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels all very processed and like, oh, you probably paid for that, and that's, I guess, fine. Like, you can pay for it, but I'm not going to. And so it's just it's like two different gaming approaches now.
Is it weird to say that it feels like a product? Because I know that it is a product and it always has been, but now it feels like a product.
It really does. It really feels like I'm buying something that I'm going to have to invest in long term if I really want to be able to do it. It's like I'm buying something I know that I'm going to have to spend more money in, and I don't want to do that. Like, I want to buy something and it's good, and then I'm good and I can just enjoy it for as many hours as I want. Like Elden Ring, or if I'm going to have to buy something more later, fine, make it DLC like Spider-Man or like Arkham Knight, where I had 6 months of content that came out afterwards.
Yeah.
Things that, like, okay, you're going to make me pay a little bit more, fine. Give me a decent amount of content. I'm happy to do that as long as the content remains steady and consistent. And it does with those games.
But worth mentioning, though, you can still go back and enjoy those just as much. In 10 years, you can still go back if you want to on your PS4, and you, personally, T, could enjoy a Season of Infamy on Arkham Knight as much as you did when it came out.
Yep.
You could not go back and enjoy guns you bought in Modern Warfare 2018 or 19, I don't remember what the year was, as much as the day you bought them. Because there's just not going to be that active community that's really there anymore. There's not going to be a reason to do it. It genuinely is like things, they've convinced people that these games should be like a burger. You get the burger, you're excited for the burger, you look forward to the burger, but you eat the burger, shit it out, and it's gone. And move on to the next meal. That's not really how I like entertainment. Like, I want to be able to go back to it, dude. Like, movies. Imagine if movies were treated the same way. I know some people think that to an extent they are with some of the spectacles, but I don't really think necessarily that me going back and watching Avengers Endgame is such a lesser experience now. It's still the full movie. Depends on what kind of TV and sound system I have, etc.
Right.
But it's still a full movie. It's not like in 10 years, if I watch it, I'm watching half the film. I feel like these games, these Call of Duty games, if I play them 5-10 years out, I'm playing half of what the game was. That, to me, is a huge part of what makes it not special anymore.
It's a shame.
It's just the idea of, like, this is so temporary. And I know human beings are temporary, but the point that I'm getting at is to know that after a certain amount of time, you or your kids or your grandkids or whatever, if they still like video games and want to play it, they're getting not as good of an experience. And there's a lot of experiences they'll never get. You really think people in 100 years will get the experience of Warzone 1 and how special that was and interesting and new and unique when it launched? They won't. It won't be around.
No.
It just won't. But you know what they could do? They could plug in a PS3 and play God of War 1 if they want to. And that's a full game.
And still enjoy the whole thing. Yeah.
That's crazy. All you'd need to do is find someone who, had a PS3 or could get one working or whatever. But, I'm assuming that tech will still be around forever and there will always be these niche people who can fix it up and get it going. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's a preservation there. And, I sometimes go back and I play an old campaign level on a COD, even if I'm not playing through it, and I have fun. Like, for example, Spec Ops, like Sniper Fi and Spec Ops on MW2. That's fun. Or like I'll go back and I'll do something like All Gillied Up in COD 4.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Amazing. That's just a fun experience in and of itself. To kind of cap off what you were saying too, and I want your thoughts on this. Don't you think that part of what makes it not special anymore is the fact that, like, the experiences or like the products, I think that what you're talking about, those God of War Ragnaroks, even the Skyrims, those will be remembered. I don't think people will look back at COD, Black Ops, Cold War. And like, other than the campaign maybe, and the people who really loved it, they won't be looking back at that like, oh, let's talk about it. Here's how influential it was. Like, they won't really do that in the same way they'll be like, look at how good 007 GoldenEye was on the N64. Look how this changed everything. Look how MW2 changed everything. I don't think anyone's looking at COD now, and in 10 years they're going to be talking about how innovative it was and how much it changed everything. They'll be like, yeah, it was just a step in a different direction.
But that's it. And that's, I think, what the bummer is that so you've got games, like you said, and for me, that MW2 and Black Ops and those games stood out because they did something different. They offered really good content, and they clearly tried, and I guess for me, they differentiated each other so much. It's like, if you could like Black Ops more than Modern Warfare, and you could like Zombies more than the Spec Ops version, or like it offered different things for you to get excited about year to year. Yeah. Now it's like, I don't really know what the difference is from game to game.
They almost all have zombies.
They all have zombies.
And it's always not as interesting as it was in the original Treyarch games.
The Spec Ops in the 2018 Modern Warfare, I hated it. I thought it was really bad. And then I haven't even tried it in this game. It looks like it might be a little bit better, but like I wasn't super impressed with what that looked like either. So it's like, I have a hard time getting excited about COD games now because they're not doing anything different. They're not really blowing me away. They're not like, not to go back to these same games. 2018 had, I think, some of the 3 best games that I've played in a long time, with Red Dead 2, Spider-Man, and God of War. That was an insane fall of video games. Mm-hmm. Marvel's Spider-Man did something different with web swinging. It was, I would prefer, instead of quick, like, just doing like a quick travel to get to where I need to go, I preferred taking my time and swinging through the city because it was awesome, it was fun, and it felt good. It felt like I was Spider-Man going from place to place. God of War's combat was insane, and the story was phenomenal, and it completely changed the way that it got me into God of War, and it was so well done. Red Dead, I mean, that game did so many things that were well done and different. You had a horse's nuts freezing on a mountain. You could see it physically get smaller. People figured that out. So, like, these games were doing something different.
I'm going to need to shut this off. Go look at that real quick. But yeah, I know. I continue.
But you get to COD, and people still buy it. It's still setting records. It's still getting all the sales. And I think that's part of the problem, is, like, they're not going to change anything because these sales are still so astronomical and they're making just stupid money. But
I think they've conditioned people. Like, I don't want to say people are stupid. I understand that they enjoy COD.
Yeah.
And that's fair. I don't want to like say like you're an idiot or whatever. Like, that's not what my point is. My point is that I think they've conditioned them. It's same with sports games. They've conditioned them, hey, this is it. We don't compete with anyone because they don't.
No.
They don't.
There's no, like, Battlefield tried, but there's not.
They're so different than Battlefield. They're so different than Halo.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're COD.
We've got the market. And
That's
they do.
what we are.
They've got the market.
Yeah, and they have the COD market. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like when NBA Live was good and you also had 2K, there was a question of like, well, which one's going to be better this year? That's not a question with COD. No one's asking the question because even if they know, they don't care.
No.
That's what COD is to them. And I think that they've conditioned people in that way, the same way sports games have, of like, well, you like basketball. If you want to play a basketball video game, then you'll play 2K or you won't get one.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they're doing with COD. And I think that also is something that they didn't do back in the day. Like, when they said, we're COD, it was like, yeah, that's true, you are COD, and that's different. Now when they say, we're COD, it's like, yeah, and you were last year and the year before and the year before that, you're the same thing. You know, I would argue that literally Fortnite seasons coming out is more of a change, it feels like, between experiences of the game than Call of Duty multiplayers.
Yeah.
Because, like, Fortnite's, they're adding new mechanics. They're adding in, like, random weapons that'll launch you across the map or turn you into freaking goo. Those are different things, and that's a free fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
The game's free.
Just download it and get into it. And if you want to buy stuff, you can. Otherwise, you don't need to.
And even if you are buying every season a season pass for like $10, $15 or whatever, that equals out, I don't know, maybe the price of a full game a year. And you're getting more changes than you're getting in COD, and you're unlocking licensed products. Like, if I want to right now, I could go on, get to level 100 and unlock Spider-Gwen.
Well, and not only that, you're unlocking the content, you can then unlock another battle pass that you don't have to pay for again.
Yeah, if you just save your V, whatever it's called, V-Bucks.
V-Bucks, yeah.
I was going to say VC.
VC. Playing too much 2K.
2K got to me, bro.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying, though? Like, I think that says something when the free game feels like it's changing more in between seasons than your AAA $70 games are changing in between releases.
And what you said there, I think, is important too. The price of games isn't going down; it's getting more expensive.
And people have less money on average in terms of inflation is up. Your money is worth less. Workers are generally making the same. Your wages are not really rising to cover inflation.
Gas prices, same thing. They go up. Say that you get a 2% raise, but gas goes up 60%.
Yeah.
That's...
Which kind of happened in the last few years in terms of like gas just going way up. I don't know about you. I've noticed myself buying or driving less to go somewhere for fun.
Yes.
And you have people buying less games or waiting longer until they're on sale to buy them in order to get the same amount of games they would have bought full price 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now when a lot of the money is going to COD, that's specifically telling them now we really can do whatever we want. Because nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Even we are inflation proof is what they're saying there. Which is crazy, but like they are. Like the game, like that is a game that people will get no matter what. It's COD.
It's unfortunate that they didn't bring back the original MW2. They remastered that campaign and no Spec Ops and no multiplayer. But you know why. You know why. Because you'd have to monetize the hell out of it to make it worth it at a corporate level. So, why bother?
Dude, that's so sad to me though, because like, look, like, not to always go back to Batman, they remastered both Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, and I think it was $40 when it originally launched. You can buy the entire Arkham collection right now on Black Friday sale for $9.
Yeah.
And you get 3 of, I think, the best games of the last, I mean, in my opinion, ever. I love those games.
But it's the fear of missing out. They have tricked you and me and everyone. You know, it feels to me like those risks they used to take and those different things where you'd get excited and be like, hey, survival, that's new. Hey, a new way to play zombies, that's different. Hey, look, combat training. Whoa, combat training, that's different. All that stuff. I don't think people really look forward to those different modes anymore. It's just, well, we got multiplayer and we'll have a Battle Royale. That's it.
See, and that is sad, man, because like
that's not special.
No, it's not. It used to be much more complex. It actually used to, like, you would talk about the campaign with people and what happened, and the missions were a bit more meaningful.
Remember MW3 when, like, everything was soap and people would talk about it and be like, dude, with that, what happened with soap?
And then the ending with Makarov. And, like, see, that stuff I remember. I don't know anything about Cold War. I don't know anything about, even, like, the later on Black
Infinite
Ops.
Warfare, I don't remember
I don't
really.
remember that at all. That was the one I was trying to think of. Advanced Warfare, I remember because Kevin Spacey was in it.
Yeah, and he was like
bold.
constantly trying to get at the main character. He's like, I gotta check my Snapchat. Hey!
Yeah, he was, dude.
Yeah.
That guy was sexual. But yeah, it just used to be so much more interesting, and it's just gotten kind of stale. And given I'm part of the problem because I went and bought it and I like playing the multiplayer with my friends.
Well, I'm not judging you or anyone here. Like, I understand. I'm judging the company.
Yeah.
Because, like, I get people want to have fun, but I also don't really like the attitude of, like, let's shit all over this person for spending their money in a way they were trying to have fun with.
Yeah.
Because they're not trying to hurt anybody. They're trying to have a good time.
Right.
That's a pretty mean thing to be a dick about.
It's like, if I was buying all the microtransactions within the game and, like, really feeding into that, and that's how I was operating, I guess I could see it more, but, like, I just bought the base game and I just want to play multiplayer and try out the maps and the guns with my buddies. You know, like, let's just keep things simple.
Right, and I think that that's fair, and I do think that there is fair criticism on, well, if you want to see a change with it, we have to start, people have to start not buying it right away. That's a fair criticism.
Makes sense, yeah.
But when it hits the point of, like, and that's why you're a worthless piece of shit, because I do see that. If you didn't want to have the problems, you shouldn't have bought it, you piece of shit, stupid idiot. And it's like, well, yeah, but you're not convincing anyone by doing that. Like, if you have that argument, you want to be nice about it and talk about, hey, listen, the way we get that kind of atmosphere back is by showing them that's what we want, by not purchasing what this is right away.
Sure.
Fine. But there's way too much ad hominem on it of, like, you're the reason it's bad. It's like, no. Because you know what? At the end of the day, the reason it's bad is Activision. They're the ones making those decisions. They could operate in good faith and just do the best job they could, and just know that even if people are going to buy it, we're going to make the best game we could. They're not doing that.
That's not what's happening, though.
So that, to me, is like the end, like the end statement of it is like when you start blaming the consumers entirely and calling them names and just being a dick, and they don't work at Activision. They're trying to have a good time.
That's it.
People are sad. Like, people have a lot of problems. A lot of people go to jobs they don't like, and to a lot of people, you might not agree with them buying MW2. There's a lot of people who bought MW2 just to feel like a kid again.
And just to enjoy COD with their friends, and like maybe it's like I don't even want to play that game, but like that's what all my friends are playing, and I just want to connect with my friends, and that's how we do it. So that's what we're gonna do.
And so to just shit all over that person, I don't think that helps either.
No.
To recreate the magic that Call of Duty was, I think at the end of the day, yes, I think people should be a little more discerning, and I wish that there was a little bit more of that. And I would argue you have been. You didn't buy every COD. You could easily go to any one of a dozen other properties like God of War Ragnarok that just came out, and that definitely is still the quality that it's been.
And I know, and the thing is too, is I think there is some form of like awareness with this too, where it's like, I know what I'm buying, man. I know that I'm buying a game that is going to be, although I think a little bit lighter on the microtransactions than like Warzone and Modern Warfare originally. I still think obviously they're there. They want my money. That's clear. That's kind of how they structure these things.
Yeah, they don't hide that.
No, they don't at all. And it's like a mutual understanding of like, I know what I'm buying. You know what you're providing. That's where we're at, I guess. And that's a sad place to be, is that it's not what it used to be. But I know what to expect now.
But I wish we didn't have to.
No.
But like also to just attack people who are trying to have fun. Because I see a lot of that of like, stupid gamers have done this, that, and the other thing. And stupid gamers are the reason why games are failing. And stupid game. It's like, well, bro, these people, they're not like, they're not out here like killing people. They're trying to have a good time.
They're just trying to have a good time.
It's also not their fault that the companies are operating in bad faith. Because if you're a company and you are not creating the best thing you can, you're operating in bad faith.
Well, and here's another problem that I think too, is like sometimes people will watch these, like see these games come out, be like, well, I'll wait for the reviews to come out. The reviews come out and they're dishonest. Like they're not like, you'll get something from IGN where it's like, yeah, this is a 9 out of 10. It's like, bro, where'd you get the 9 out of 10 from? This is not a good game. Like you said, like, this was good, this was nice, they're getting better every year, and that's the problem with a lot of these sports games and even
a
CODs.
Step in the right direction is basically that's the trademark copyright statement for like NBA, Madden.
They're not what they should be, and you know that. So why aren't you being honest and actually grilling these guys a little bit? Because that would keep me from buying the game and waiting to maybe try it next year.
That's why I think you almost have to, not that everyone's truthful, but you almost have to go to YouTube or Twitch or these other places where you're going to see the game operating.
Yes.
And maybe hear someone's hands-on opinions on it.
And there's stuff in the pre-order bonuses that you can't get. Like, there's sometimes where you literally can't get it if it's a pre-order bonus, which sucks.
That's dumb. that's them enabling it. So, like, you can attack the gamers who just buy something to try and have a fun time and forget about how hard their life is, or you can look at the companies are operating in bad faith. The game's journalists, TM, because I don't really think they're journalists usually, are operating in bad faith. You know, like that kind of stuff. I think there's a lot of dishonesty at a lot of levels before you hit gamers are the problem.
Yes.
And I think that people aren't willing to talk about that, because it's easier to just blame everyone around you. Like, I didn't buy COD, you did, and it's bad. Well, why'd you buy it?
It's like, well, I have to deliberately go out of my way to find a YouTuber that I can trust to give me the right information to know whether or not a game is good. And even then, I could disagree at the end of the day and be wrong.
And then later on, all of a sudden, you find out they're trying to bang their fans that are like 15 years old.
Yeah!
A year later, and you're like, well, now I don't know if I should have taken your COD opinion seriously. You know, that happens too much, too.
And it worked! You did bang me, so that's...
Financially, at least.
Yeah. Because even if these, like, corporations that are reviewing things are honest and say, like, hey, listen, like, I know you want to put our review in your marketing of, like, hey, 9 out of 10, or hey, 10 out of 10. I'm giving you a 5. Like, you clearly didn't try this year. Try again next year, and we'll see what happens here. But if you're constantly just giving out, like, yes, a good game. Oh, what a blast. This was fun. It's like, well, they're just going to keep doing this, and it doesn't matter. The effort's not going to change. Because games used to be, why did the standard shift, and when did it shift so much? To where, like, people used to, I mean, it was year to year, massive features were added to these games, and huge difference makers, and they clearly spent a lot of time the second the current game was launched on developing new stuff in the new game and implementing the feedback that they got from people.
Did you enjoy this video? Well, there's plenty more over on Degenerate Plays, where we play through all kinds of video games together. That's our Let's Play channel. We hang out, have fun, laugh, talk, love, cry. The drama is all there. If you've ever said, and you would be the only person in the world, hey, I want a Degenerate J podcast. Well, this is where we hang out podcast style, playing games, making jokes, talking about serious stuff as well, and just hanging out on the couch with each other. So come on over and hang out with us on Degenerate Plays. The link is in the description down below. Or if you're interested in a more condensed experience, there is also a playlist of Degenerate Plays best ofs here on Degenerate J for you to check out. Hope you'll enjoy it and have a fantastic day.